I wanted to tell a grandchild story. Beatrice, who is 6, her dad is Asian, our son-in-law, and so their skin is a nice olive color, plus they live in Southern California. And so Beatrice was sitting on my lap, and her hand was on my hand, and as you can tell, I have freckles, and I'm pale. So she said, "Grandpa," she said, your hand is lighter than my hand." And I said, "Yes, Bea, I have pinkish skin, and you have brownish skin." And she said, "Well, what really matters is that you have skin." So that's free. Now, what she meant by that was, I found out later, that if you don't have skin, then all the blood rushes out of your body. And that's bad for you, but she was speaking more truth than she realized. So I'm going to say just a few things, and we're going to kind of go back and forth. But again, thank you very much. I do teach at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. This is my 27th year, and we've lived there since 1992. And I wanted to tell you a little bit of the before and after. I think almost from the very beginning, chiefly through Renee's energy, we had a pro-life group, a student group on campus, and we did various kinds of things. And I'm sure that just as God uses our feeble efforts, He used those efforts as well. But it was difficult sowing, if I could say it that way. It was hard to keep our balance in terms of why we were always doing what we were doing, to be very honest. We felt often like the Lone Rangers, like nobody was paying attention. Of course, at a seminary campus, there's this constant turnover because of the third-year vicarage system where the community is changing all the time. And so I think we often felt like an appendage on the life of the campus, even though everyone there is officially life-affirming and is, in fact, life-affirming. But 7 years ago, we adopted the model of the Life Team, which is now available through Lutherans for Life. Renee's going to talk about that. And so I can't tell you the transformation over the last 7 years. Now it feels very much like our efforts at affirming life in all stages and at all ages is integrated into the life of the seminary community. It's officially endorsed and funded by the Seminary Student Association budget. You know, we have a budget. And it's been the Life Team model, which is a very wise and careful way to, and it's actually designed for use in congregations. See, we're a little bit of an anomaly because we're an educational community, we're a seminary, right? But I just wanted to encourage all of you to think, if you haven't thought yet, how could we do careful, beautiful, multifaceted, gospel-centered work in our congregation, right? How could we do that? Because Lutherans for Life has lots and lots of what. We have the best what we have all the information we need, but how? How can it show itself? How can it take shape and blossom at our congregation, wherever that might happen to be? So I think I'm going to let Renee talk now about our Life Team, and this is actually an agenda from our last Life Team meeting at Concordia Seminary.
Did everyone get one?
So there was a handout that just went out a minute ago. So
great.
Renee, do you have a mic?
I think I do. Am I on? It was so exciting for me to see the Life Team model being used at seminary. The before and the after was dramatic, as Jeff said. And so being a part of the Lutherans for Life Board of Directors, I couldn't help but share the excitement and was so encouraged when the board bought into it and said, yes, this is the way we want to go. And they put money behind it. And we actually bought the copyright for the materials, whereas our team had spent between $2,000, $2,500, maybe $3,000 over a couple years getting all our people trained at $30 a pop. Now you get the whole kit for $30 to a congregation, my Vanna. And it has all the materials there, videos for you, and reproducible materials. And we give binders like this to our students as they go through it. And so I can't say how thrilled I am that this is available for congregations or for you to use on a chapter level as well. There's 2 full training courses, Life Team 101 and Life Team Leader training. And our people, they think you should go through both of them because it's such good material, not on all the life issues, but it's on how to be gospel-centered. And on your handout, in the middle of the box, there is the general ministry vision, and this is our agenda. This was last Saturday for our meeting, and so you'll see a few typos on there, but we use this in every agenda. We print this box. I'm going to let Jeff talk about these just for a minute, and then I'll give you some more details.
Yeah, the general ministry vision is actually part of the Life Team model. And so it offers, every time we meet, we offer a contrast between what we don't want to be about and what we do, right? The most important thing is the very first item, and that is, well, as I sometimes like to say, it's easy to be angry, it's lazy to be angry, but to let the gospel of Jesus, who is for all people with skin, right? To let that be our motivating force and our joy and our reason. That's the number one priority of a life team. And then you can just it's kind of pretty reasonable just to think about it. One of the aspects of the general ministry vision that's been so rewarding and that helps people who are a little nervous about being pro-life, you know those people? Where they kind of, but then they, you come at them, hi, I'm pro-life, and they go, oh, isn't that nice? See? But is the fourth item, and that is, look, there are lots of issues involved here. Abortion is the biggest one. There's no question about that. But there's end of life, there's, as a friend says, there are things upstream from abortion and downstream from abortion. See? And a life team, according to its context and its giftedness, can address all of those, any of those life issues. So it's not single-faceted, it's multifaceted.
Yeah, and we used to be known as the anti-abortion group on campus. And frankly, and that's when my brother was there, frankly, mostly all we did was go down and pray in front of Planned Parenthood. And we were known as the protesters. And it took a while for us to rebrand ourselves and for people to know us as, now we don't say pro-life, we say life-affirming. And that's the word that we hang on to because the media has used that other word, not in good ways. And so for us to turn the ship and say, we are doing all these things, and Lutherans for Life stands for from conception to natural death, and all the things in the middle. So we want to see that life is such a big issue. Of course, abortion is one of those, and we need to not forget that in the midst of all the other topics. So I want to just tell you a little bit about our team. We've got our mission statement up at the top, and when we formed the team, we prayed for a few months, seeing both who God has brought to our team and what is our context. And every context will be different, and God will lead you in different ways. So we prayed about it, and we came up with this, and we say this every time, centered in the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. The Concordia Seminary Life Team equips our seminary community and others to affirm life. We even memorized it, so we would all know our little elevator speech. And so our goal is to equip our community, and others will let others in our community, come to our events to affirm life. So we got that word in there. We meet monthly, and we said, okay, what's our people need? Well, they need food and childcare. So we meet around the lunch hour. We take turns bringing food in, and we always have a babysitter. And so this opens doors for more people. So lately, this year, we discovered a lot of people will come out on a weekend evening Because we have free pizza and Lutheran beverages. And childcare. And so they'll come out. I mean, we had 60, 70, 75 people at a couple events, which is pretty big for us. Then we go through the ministry, the normal meeting things. I put our contact information on here. This is not normally on the agendas, but if you want to contact Jeff or me in that. Flip over and you can see some of the things that we do, just examples. And again, your context will dictate what you have. This year we've got a very active team. About 20 or more people come each meeting. And so we've got several separate committees. You may have a committee of a whole if you have 5 people on your life team. So don't look at all that we're doing and think, oh, we can never do that. Again, you need to see who's on your team. I think you said that it's lay-led.
Yep.
Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the Life Team model is designed to be led by lay people. The leader is a very important person. Needs to be a very gracious and gospel-centered kind of an individual. Could be a man or a woman. And the pastor's hand of blessing needs to be upon the life team's work, just like every other important aspect of a congregation's ministry. But the life team materials have a very clear step-by-step process to forming a life team. It's beautifully laid out, and it just and LFL has national resources to help that too. So
You're right, and Barb is going to talk about that in a minute on the state level here. But just going down here, some of the things that we've done, just to give you a flavor. We have reports of things that have happened or that they're in the midst of happening. One of our students gave a talk on singleness, so we decided that's a life issue. As we always talk about families, but we also need to talk about singles. You have a lot of single people, whether they're young or they're widows or widowers or divorced in our churches. This Affirming All Life, not mercy, not politics, was Jeff and another prof talked about kind of the theology of life and why it's important and why we need to embrace that. And then some practical ideas for our students on how to have a life-affirming congregation. Stand and Pray for Life. We went down to Planned Parenthood together after we had gathered and, of course, had food, breakfast, and had childcare. And we did training on what to expect when you go and pray in front of a clinic. We went down there, then we came back and debriefed, because it's a very scary thing if you've never been in front of a clinic to go there. And we wanted to do that together. There was a local Churches for Life summit that some of our people had gone to. Under committees, Mercy at 4251, we named our committee that. It's kind of the abortion committee, because that's the address of Planned Parenthood in St. Louis. And they want to have some, instead of just saying the abortion committee, we want to show mercy at this place. And so that committee, with the support, you've got to see what the group wants. If we come up with ideas and one person wants to do something and they don't buy into it, then it's not going to fly. But it has to be a team effort. Just a few of the things not listed on here. Adoption, we've had seminars in that, or care for the elderly. We have a miscarriage memorial chapel service every year, and that's been very helpful for our students to see just how poignant miscarriage is, and to give them some examples of how they can do that in their settings, to be able to acknowledge and remember and just remember. Just to grieve, yeah. To grieve together.
That's actually been a resource. Probably a dozen students have graduated and become pastors, and then they have emailed us to say, do you have some resources that we could adapt and then have a miscarriage memorial service in our congregation? So it's kind of a simple, easy thing to do, but a very beautiful and powerful way to minister on, obviously, a life issue.
Yeah, and our seminary president said it's the most moving service he's seen. As people take flowers and bring them forward to remember somebody who was lost. Just simple things like that. grieve with those who grieve. Back on the left, infertility or embryonics. When we started in the fall each year, we say, well, what are you guys interested in doing? And there were couples who had dealt with infertility. And so they wanted to work on that. And so again, we see who God brings and what their energy and interest is. And then mental health and trauma, we've got a counselor. And she wanted to talk about, help the students know which issues and how to refer. And that way. Any others?
No, and I was just going to say that, again, the Life Team model is meant to be applied locally. You know, what is your congregational context? Where are you located? Who is available? We're in a very unusual community, right? All future professional church workers, right? We don't talk so much about social justice, Evan. We talk about the Bible, the Lutheran confessions, but no matter where you are, the Life Team model will help you to be centered in the gospel and to display this general ministry vision, right, according to your context and as God leads you. Yeah. So you can tell this is an advertisement for the Life Team model.
And I got to say, whether you do it in a congregation or in a chapter, because I know many of you work in chapters, Life Team materials, I encourage you to go through them with your board members and with your chapter members as well. So either congregation or multi-congregations put together. The two things we've got coming up, the mental health one, I just grabbed a brochure on that. We'll have several speakers for that. And then on April 3rd, we'll be going down to Planned Parenthood. We adopted one day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to go down and pray at 4251. Then we include other life-affirming things, let people know about banquets and stuff in case they want to go. And if we have time, we do roundtable discussions talking about issues that are coming up. I think this is kind of our team, and we're just, one of the nice things, because we have such turnover, there's a succession plan. Used to be, every year we'd have to start all over, and nobody wanted to be the president or the secretary.
But we already have our eye on a first-year student who's going to be the next team leader.
Right.
It's just that he doesn't quite know it yet. But we're praying he'll say yes.
We're praying for this and for God to bring the leaders, and that it's wonderful, a model. So I know our time's up, but if
we'd be glad to answer any questions later.
I know Barb, you go
Barb wants
first,
to come
and then
up.
we can answer any questions. Thank you.